everyone, welcome back to our channel Megha Discourse, and I am your educator Megha. So today we will do history of English literature, an overview on history of English literature. And yet this is not the bottom lecture on history of English literature. This is gonna be interesting one. We will connect all the dot K's among all different ages. Yet now you have studied that history of English literature is very boring. We have to study all the 12 theories, all the 12 ages. But in this video, you will get the knowledge that how these ages is divided further. Why the Augustan age is called the age of Pope, and why the ages is known after the dominant writer. Like we have Dryden age, that is the Neoclassic age, and why this is called the Neoclassic age, and Neoclassic age is further divided into three ages. Why so? Why they need to divide this age? So this is a unique video. If you focused on this video and if you are with me till the end of the video, then you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to search for the part 2 of history of English literature. Then this video is gonna be the rocking video for you. If you are a beginner, you are advanced, or you are giving any exam, for example NET, SET, JRF, DTL+B, any competitive or teaching exam, so this video is must for you. After your huge support on literary theory video, that is the master video, we thought that we should make a video on history of English literature, because many students, they ignored this section, and you will amazed after knowing that yes, questions counting on this area is low, but this is necessary to connect the dot key. So we can get answer of these all hidden questions after reading history of English literature. If you have read the standard books, if you have not read the standard books, then don't worry and don't take burden on yourself. Then, oh my God, we have not studied histories of English literature yet. This is the only and sufficient video on history of English literature. So let us start our first foremost age, Old English, that is the Anglo-Saxon age. Whatever I have written on these slides, just read it again and again, recall it again, and the whole portion on history of English literature will be ready. So this is our first age, as you can see on the screen, Anglo-Saxon age, or you can say Old English age. The time period of this period is 450 to 1066. Okay, now what is the special in this age? Why we need to study the history of English literature from 450? Now when the Roman emperor, they let them undefended, so these tribes, they settled to the coast of North Sea, and it is called presently Germany and Denmark. They spoke English language, but that English language is different from modern English language. Their English resembles Germanic language, or you can say Icelandic language. The first feature, as you can see, is migration and settlement. Migration, I told you that when Roman emperor led them undefended, they settled to the Celtic region of North Sea, Germany and Denmark, Sweden, that is the area, and they are not enough powerful to defend themselves from Viking invasions, so they chose a hidden place. Okay, and after when they settled there, it is called Angla land. Okay, so that is Angla land, and presently it is called England. Now there is heptarchy system. Heptarchy, hept means 7 system. So there was 7 kingdoms. People are not meant for one king. They are not responsible for one king. They are responsible for 7 kingdoms, and all kingdoms, they fought with each other for the power. But lastly, they joined each other. They unite when the Viking invasions have occurred. Okay, now they have Christianization of England. Now what is Christianization? Before arriving of Christian missionaries, there were paganism. They believed in Thor, they believed in thundering, they believed in Woden, as you have seen the Marvel stories. Okay, so there is no God. Like in the civilization, in our civilization, they worshipped Shiva, they worshipped Indra, they worshipped rain. Okay, like Vayu, this type of God. So similarly, they worshipped Thor, they worshipped Woden. But after Christianization, after Saint Augustine when he came in 597 AD. Okay, so after Saint Augustine, they believed in God system, they believed in Bible, they believed in Christian. Now the Christianity, it spread all around, and how the Christianity, it turns their life, it turns their luck in from illiteracy to literate one. Now there were monasteries, now they can get education. The another, we have language transition and alliterative words. Earlier I told you that their English is different from our English, and their literature is based on oral tradition. There is a no written text. Mostly if it were there, then it was destroyed. So oral tradition were there. So this is the language tradition, because Romans, they believed in Latin language, but now there is influence of you can see the influence of, as we have 7 kingdoms. So 7 kingdoms have their own culture, they have their own language. Now you can see the you can see the breeding in the language. Now they can mix different language and they spoke according to that language. So they use alliterative words more than, instead of rhyming couplet, instead of any other genre, they use alliterative words. For example, this is seashore, here is a repetition of as consonant, that is the alliteration. Or you can say there is another type, they use cannings. Canning means, for instance, you can say if they have to pronounce, they have to describe a sea, then they do not say directly that it is a sea, they will say it is a whale road. For example, for king, they used ring giver. So they used cannings, that is the extended conceits, or you can say extended metaphor for a single word. Okay, so then the dominant genres, we have epic poetry, like they told about the heroes, they told about the war, because it is in oral tradition. And for in oral tradition, we have epic poetries. They used elegies for mourning, elegies for some lament. Okay, they use religious poetry, because after Christianization, Bible came, and when Bible came, then religious aspect will be there. They use heroic poetry to worship their heroes, to worship their knights, because there are a lot of bloodshed, lot of wars. So so the literature is meant according to that bloodshed, according to that war. So they use war poetry to praise their soldiers, to praise their knights, to praise their king. Then they have chronicles, means historical aspect, historical writing. So like we have the history of ancient English literature, like there is a history of Britain one. Okay, now we have important writers and works like Caedmon's hymns. As you know very well that Caedmon's, he has given auspicious thing that he is good at hymns, he wrote hymns, he is good at singing. Then we have Cinewolf, who wrote Christ, Eileen, Juliana, the Apostles. They all are very important. And yes, it is for UPYQ as well. Okay, these are some important writers. Also, we have the Wanderer. This is for elegy about exile, and Seafarer, it is on spiritual journey. Then we have the Wife's Lament, a wife is lamenting, it is again an elegy, and it is told by female perspective. Then we have the Dream of Rue. Now here is dream, it is resemblance to Christianity, so it is Christian allegory. Okay, you can see the evolution of language from how the Latin language is converted into French, then into English one. Okay, so this is about your Anglo-Saxon age. Now, Anglo Norman age, how this age evolved. Now, the transition from Anglo-Saxons to Anglo Norman happened after the Battle of Hastings in 1066 AD. When the William the Conqueror, he is the Duke of Normandy, he defeated the King Harold, and after that Anglo Normans came now, and the Frenchification, you can say the Frenchification, because before that we have Latin language, after that the French language came with the William the Conqueror, and then there is a trilingual language that we have Latin, French and English. Now how this culture is divided? Now the Latin language, it becomes the language of church. In the church they will use Latin language. French language is for elites. aristocracy, aristocratic people. And what about the English? It is not that modern English as well. So English is for the common people. Oh, you are the downtrodden, so you have to speak in English language. So this is the trilingual society, and this is your PVQ as well, and an important point. Okay, so I have written all the important point in that slide, so just you have to read that slide again and again. Then there is a French culture and literature, because Normans, they were French inhabitants. When they came, they brought their culture with them, and when they brought their culture with them, so there is a change in culture aspect. When a person came, he brought his culture, he brought his philosophy, his spirituality, his ideas. So the ideology change can be seen in the society. Simple fact. Then they focus on chivalry, knights, courtly love. Now the first in Anglo-Saxon age, they talks on warriors, they talk on war, they have oral tradition. But in Anglo Norman age, they are little bit more generative. They believed in chivalry. Now there is a comradeship. Okay, a knight is faithful to his king. So this can be, the comradeship can be seen in the Anglo Norman age. Now, the popular forms, they've included, now what are the popular genres? Romances. Now, romances is not that lovebirds. Romances is adventurous. Romances between knight and king, and their faithful, and their betrayal story, their love story, their loyalty. Okay, so romances is of knight, romances is of soldier, romances of war. They have chronicles. Again, chronicles is there because it is first we have oral tradition. Now it is not the oral tradition, so they need some written work for their ages that we have done in this age. So that's why they need chronicles. Then the religious writing. Now how religious writing evolved? In Anglo-Saxon age, I told you that in 597 AD, Saint Augustine came and he brings Christianization, he brings Christian missionaries. When the Christian missionary came, the Bible came. When Bible came, तो religious writing came. So you can say एक एज से दूसरे एज में चेंज जब होता है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि that change was immediate. It takes time. So when the Christianization came, it takes nearly some years to convert it into writing. Now, what about religion and church? Now, church is predominant. Church is the dominative factor in Anglo-Norman age because that was the pagan system, and in Norman age, church was evolved now. Now, church was the controller. They control the monasteries. They control the education, that what you have to teach, what you have to read. It is all because of church. It is all responsibility. This is the responsibility of church. Okay, so church was dominant. Now, Middle English literature gradually began to develop towards the end of period, because now this is a transition phase, and the important feature is that Anglo-Normans, they came with feudalistic system. Feudalism were there because what is feudalism? That the old lands were owned by the king and he divided the whole land into his upper society, into upper class, upper court people, and upper court people, they have serfs. Serfs is SERF, serfs, they have laborers, poor labor. Now what happened? What is the scenario? Like, I have my land, but I have given to this king. Now what king do? He converted my social status, land owner, to a poor labor, because feudalism were there. So this is the biggest drawback of Anglo-Norman, is that feudalism is there, language transition is there, trilingual system is there. Okay, so you can say the class, the caste, and the society is divided among different society. Now this is the age of Chaucer. Why this is called the age of Chaucer, not the age of William Langland or not the age of John Gower? Because a age is called after the name of a dominant writer, and the dominant writer of age of Chaucer is Geoffrey Chaucer, and the time span is 1340 to 1400. Now what happened in this age? Why we need to study the age of Chaucer? Because after Anglo-Norman, when they brought feudalism with them, now the society was perplexed. There is a chaos in society. Now this was the turmoil age. There is all around chaos, trahimam condition, that the poor laborers were there, and biggest thing is that there is Black Death that happened in 1381. Now after Black Death, labors were costly. There's a no people, 50 to 60 million people were casted off during Black Death. Okay, now the king and the upper class people, they are unable to find labors. So what happened? Feudalism declined. So this is the transition period. Now feudalism declined. When the feudalism declined, तो कोई भी चीज जब न्यू ऐड होती है, हटती है, so you will get the impact of that in the society. So this age is social realism age. Now what is socialism? Geoffrey Chaucer, he presented the age as it is. You can say literature is mirror of society, and Chaucer has worked very well on that phrase. He criticizes the structure of society. He criticized the courtly people. He criticized the church. As you can see in the Canterbury Tale, he described many stories through the different characters, and all the characters, they are from aristocratic life, they are from upper class, lower class, from church people, as we have partner, we have knight, we have nun. So he assimilated all the society, he assimilated all the people of different strata into a one book, that is the Canterbury Tale. That's why Geoffrey Chaucer, he is the power, he is the main opponent of this age. Now you can see here's the rise of Middle English literature. He chose Middle English, and there was heptarchy system in Anglo sections. So we have Northumbria, Kentish language, Essex, Wessex, Sussex, okay, and East Anglia, different language. Now the transition came Latin to French, and now he chose its Midland language as the English. Okay, so literature is not purely on English, but it was the mixing of Italian culture, French culture, Latin culture, okay, and now he emerges into three different phases, as there is an influence on Italian as well, influence of French as well, and then he translated it into English language as well. So this is how our language evolves. Now there is a growth of national consciousness because of Black Death. Thousands, I said lakhs of people died. Now because of war, people have feelings of patriotism. Now they are working on what is right for them and what is wrong for them. Now the national consciousness feeling is evolving them. It is emerging now. Okay, now people are not meant only for the king, not meant only for the church. They are now raising questions against government as well. Social realism in literature, as I told you, with the help of Canterbury Tale. Now the influence of Italian French literature, it is obvious one. Now the new development of poetic form, that is satire and humor. From the Canterbury Tale, as you can see, it is a satirical verse on church, it is satirical on the women. For example, the wife of Bard's Tale, he used satire to criticize whatever the society perspective we have. He used satire, he used humor to criticize the bad omen of the society. Whether she is women, whether he is partner, whether he is person. So he criticized each and every person who is not fit in this society. Okay, and he used humor. Then there is a decline of feudalism, I told you, because of Black Death. Then variety of literary genres can be seen here, like we have dream allegory, there is a lyrical poetry as well, because in the previous ages we have seen there is a epic poetry, elegy, chronicle. So it remains as it is, but now the new genres also evolved. Okay, like he wrote in octosyllabic couplet, rhyme royal, he evolved that rhyme royal. So new genres is emerging, old remains as it is. Now the important writers, as we have Geoffrey Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tale, Troilus Cressida, Book of Duchies. I have also made a video on important works of Geoffrey Chaucer, that is the complete overview on Geoffrey Chaucer, so you can also watch that video. It will help you, as we have questions on House of Fame in 2026, so that video help you a lot. So why he called the father of English poetry? He is wrote narrative poetry, he is a realistic writer, he wrote with social satire. So this is the table, just have a look on the table. Like then we have William Waglien, who wrote Pius Clement, it is again a dream allegory. So they wrote with dream allegory. Why they wrote dream allegory? Because they are unable to directly write against government, to write against the king. So they use dream allegory, that I have a dream and in that dream I have seen that whole the picture of society. Piploman, I have also made a video. So generally we made a video from the Anglo-Saxons perspective so that it can interlinked, okay, you can connect the dot keys among all the works. Then John Gower, who is known for Confessio Mentis, Vox Clementis, these all are important one. He wrote didactic poetry, he wrote moral poetry. Then we have John Wycliffe, who wrote Wycliffe Bible, and he has Lollard movement, he is related to Lollard movement, okay, and Lollard is satirical name given by the people to John Wycliffe and his followers, okay. So this is a religious reformer act, okay. So this is about the age of Chaucer, and if you want the detailed lecture on them, then I have also uploaded the detailed lecture, okay. Let's move to our next age. Now the next age we have the Barren Age. Why it is called Barren Age? As you can see, the barren means the empty thing, like the wasteland. So it is not exactly an empty age like we have the age of Chaucer. That is the dawn of English literature. So Barren Age, it is meant for identity crisis. This age has identity crisis. This age, you can say, the waiting room of English literature. Now what is the waiting room? They are waiting for something good happen in their life. So Barren Age, the time period is 1400 to 1500. After the death of Chaucer, they are unable to get their master, they are unable to get their Messiah. So like we have Geoffrey Chaucer, so this age do not have any master, poet or writer or dramatist, anyone else, okay. So you can see there is a political instability because this period is of war of roses, English civil war, okay. Like War of Roses started in 1455 and 1487 ended. It is happened between the two houses because of throne. They wanted to have a power on the throne. So the houses of Lancaster and the houses of York, they are fighting, okay. That is, one have red rose, another have white rose. That is why it is called War of Roses, okay. Then there is a rise of Henry VII, that is Tudor dynasty, and how the War of Roses ends. This is the important thing. The War of Roses ends after the evolution, after the emergence of Tudor dynasty, and in Tudor dynasty they chose Henry VII as their king, okay. So it is because of Tudor dynasty the houses war ends. Then the language, now Middle English language is evolved completely now, okay. Now it become the early modern English language now. But so far as the literature is concerned, this age has lack of originality. It means to say that, like we have Scottish Chaucerian, what they want to do, they are imitating the style of Chaucer. They are not writing their own style. They are not so creative. That is why they are called Scottish Chaucerian, okay. So yes, they are good, but they lack the creativity, and that's why there is a no pure literature, okay. Fine. As you can see here, the translation more as well, okay. Now printing press, it came here. Now printing press is from William Caxton in 1476, he came. Now what is the impact of printing here? Like if the printing came, then the literature is meant for common people. Before printing press, the literature was costly because it was handwritten. How many copies you can write? So it was costly one and it was limited one. But after printing press, it was no more costlier. Yes, costlier, but it was meant for everyone. Now everyone can purchase the book and read that book. So this is the good thing about the printing press. So printing press aa gaya, so you can say now the evolution is more one, okay. Now what is the dominant genre there? So here we have ballads. Now the ballads were written, it is not in the form of oral tradition like the Anglo-Saxon. Now we have moral poetry because of religion. So you will get here the mystery play, morality play, and interludes as well, which is on saint, which is from Bible. You can religious writing, then prose chronicles as well here. So now the genre is different from, now it is meant for religious purpose. So for example, we have John Lydgate, Thomas Hockley, okay, and William Caxton, and Fall of Princes by John Lydgate, The Regiment of Princes by Thomas Hockley. We have the Recul of Histories of Troy, it is written by William Caxton, okay. So this is the important one, and your PYQ as well. So this is about the Barren Age. Now what we have studied? That Anglo-Saxon age may we have warriors, in Anglo Norman age we have romances, in the age of Chaucer what we have didactic poetry, we have narrative poetry, we have satire, we have humor, and this is the Barren Age. What we have imitation, we have copy style, that they are copycat of Geoffrey Chaucer, so that is called Scottish Chaucerian. So this is about the Barren Age. Now let's move to next one. Don't get bored yourself, just look at this video and thought this is like a storytelling of history of English literature. Okay. Now, age of revival. Now, what is in the age of revival? Revival means to revive something, to give rebirth something. Okay, so this is the age of revival. Now, there is a waiting room of Barren Age. Now, this waiting room is over. Now, this is waking up age. So, this has happened 1500 to 1558. That is 60 years of waking up time, waking up of intellectuality, waking up of spiritually, morally, intellectually. So this is the waking up call for all the society, for all the peoples. Now here we have the reign of Henry VII, that was in the previous one, Henry VIII, Edward VI and Mary I of England. So they all were the kings or the queen of this age. Now under Henry VIII, the interesting feature is that now this is time for, you can say reformation. This is time for restoration actually, restoration of king. Now Pope is not the controller of church. This was happened before age of arrival. From Barren Age, Pope is the everything, sorry. Okay, Pope is the controller. But in the age of revival, Pope is not the controller of church. Now it hand. King is the controller. Now everything is under control in the hand of king. Okay, so this is the important thing first. Now there is a reign of Renaissance. Renaissance influence you can see, like we have Leonardo da Vinci, who is the artistic and painter. So the influence of Italian influence can be seen in the literature of age of revival. The another important fact of Renaissance learning, that is humanism. What is humanism? Humanism means human-centered approach. And what is human-centered approach? That human is at center. So we have to work on the human flows. We have human potential. That human is a potential. That human is everything. Okay, there is a yes, there is a God, there is a Bible, but human is more important than everything else. So this is the human. Human is at center. So this is like they have made that human is centered, and all around there is a wheel. So okay, this is the humanism approach. Now Italian Renaissance, as I told you, there was influence. They have English Reformation because Pope is no more the king. So Pope is no more the controller of church. Now language development, as we can see, there's a transition from Middle English to early modern English. As you know, Chaucer, the Canterbury Tale, if you have read the text of Canterbury Tale, then we have the spelling of April is different from modern April. Now they changes the language. Now they are writing English according to pronunciation, not according to the writing they are writing. Okay? So the transition is, now there is a transition of Middle English to early modern age. So now what happened next? The revival of classical learning, because this is a revival. Classical learning, we have the Greek literature, Roman literature. Now they are working on Latin language, they are working on German language. Okay, now they are working on the Roman literature. Now they are adapting their face. So you can say there is a imitation and innovation theory. So this is the important point to note here. So they are working on imitate. First you imitate your classical running, then you have to change something and re-innovate that particular thing. So you will find translation in this age of revival. So growth of humanism, translation of classical text, as I told you. Okay. Now what are the important genres we have? You will get the lyric poetry. Okay, sonnets. Now sonnets are emerging here, and because who came? Tom Swiat. Who came? Earl of Surrey. Okay, so he first Earl of Surrey, he invent blank verse, and then we have Tom Swiat. He invented Petrarch sonnet. He reinvented Petrarch sonnet. He brought the sonnet with them. What is sonnet? 40-line poem. Okay, then we have translations as well. Then the court poetry is also there because king is the prime one. So court poetry should be there in the praise of king one. Like we have Thomas More, who wrote Utopia. So I must tell you, you have to watch our playlist, that we have also made video on Beowulf first, then Canterbury, and so on, all the important works of Chaucer. Then we have Utopia, and further we have New Atlantis. So on every age you will get a work. So after watching that work of particular age, you can connect all the dot keys. You will get that why this age is important one. Okay, and what is the perspective of writer to write that work. So you should watch that video as well. So then we have Tom Swiat, as I told you, Henry Howard Lofsbury, and let me connect with you Utopia. So what is Utopia? That the positive, the optimistic place. Okay, he wrote Utopia because there is a massive shift in age of revival. This is the age of waking up. So you can find turmoil, chaos also. So he want the society should be utopia, Ram Raja, everything should be good. That's why he wrote that one. Because Thomas More, he was executed. He denied to accept the king. Okay, that's why he was executed. He was the servant of king, and but he was executed because he declined that I do not find you my king. Okay, because there was turmoil, there was political terror. Okay, so look at the chaos of this age, and that's why he wrote utopia, his imagination. Now this is the time for Elizabethan age. This is the time of Queen Elizabeth. Now this is political stable age. Before Elizabeth age, we are finding that the age was with massive shift. The age is of turmoil, chaos, complexities. Okay, some, as we know, that age of Chaucer is dawn of English literature. Age of the Barren age is waiting room of English literature. Then revival is waking up call. Now finally they all waked up. Now finally the everything is settled down, and this is age of political stability age. Okay, now Queen Elizabeth is the golden age of English literature, you can say. Now why this is golden age? Because in this age you will find the trade, commerce. Because of 1600 mein kya hua? Now this is a time of crown rule, and East India Company was settled down. Okay, Charter Act, as you know about the very well Charter Act on all things. Okay, so this age also defeated the Spanish Armada, that is a huge army of Spanish in 1588, and so their naval, their you can say war, um, the war intensity, they have increased one. Now they can cheer up, yes, we have defeated the Spanish Armada, now we are the prime, we are the superiors ones. So this is what happened after the defeating of Spanish Armada. They have the sense of patriotism, national consciousness. Now we are for a country, we are for the queen. Okay, so there is a rise of nationalism with that. Now you can find the expansion of exploration and trade. So this is time of trade and commerce, naval trade, you can say, like we have Walter Raleigh, who is the naval master. Okay, mostly poets or writers, they are in the army or they are in the naval exercise. Now this is the important and the you can say the must fact, must feature of this age, that they have to participate in war, they have to participate themselves, or they have to enroll in army or naval exercise and anyone else. Okay, so then another, if we have, there is a development of language. Now the language is pure, golden, it is more smooth than previous one. So as we are emerging, like in my 20s phase, I maybe I'm not able to speak very well in Hindi as well. Okay, but after 2 years, 3 years, I may be able to speak very well. So this is the emergence, this is the transition, this is the growth. Okay, so this is the natural one. Now the English is more smooth, English is more you can say good one. Okay, it is more refined one. Okay, so Elizabethan age, language development can be seen, trade and commerce development can be seen. Okay, now there is a globe theatre. Okay, now theatres were open. Okay, theatres were open. So when the theatres were open, so people are meant for entertainment. Now they are involving themselves in literature, they are involving themselves in entertainment. Now they are reading more dramas, they are reading more poems, and this is a good sign, because now they knew very well about the society, they knew very well about the thing happened in the past, and they are resolving the very negative thing happened in the past. Okay, so this is the positive point here. Now, so spirit of Renaissance and humanism, as I told you, that was built in, that was starting in the age of revival. Now it was in the full bloom, in what is in the peak in the Elizabethan age. Now they are more humanism, they can now understand why human is important one. Okay, so now the drama is flourishing, as we have Christopher Marlowe, we have Edmund Spenser, they are initial phases of Elizabethan age. We have Shakespeare's earliest drama, like we have Chronicles, okay, and historical dramas as well. We have masters, we have major writers in this age. That is why the golden age, so far as literature is concerned, so far as political turmoil is concerned, so this age is the best one. Okay, and this age is also the you can say the big one, because we have many writers here like Philip Sidney and all that. Patriotism feel, lyrical poetry, you can see. Okay, now there is a drama, Elizabeth, sonnet, we have lyrical poetry, prose, pastoral poetry, as also we have like Elizabeth, sorry, Shakespeare has written sonnet 18 for his beloved. Edmund Spenser, he wrote for his beloved, that is the Astrophel, that is the Amoreti. Philip Sidney, Astrophel and Stella. So you can find here the sonnet in the love form. Okay, then we have major literary movement, that is English Renaissance. That is the important one. We will cover each movement in our literary movement series. Then the important writer, as I told you, William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, Edmund Spenser, Ben Jonson, like Dr. Faustus. I have made also the video on that. So after reading Dr. Faustus, what will you get? That power is not everything. Okay, we have to be gentle with ourselves. Okay, he wants power, he wants magical power in exchange of the soul. So this is the human idea, this is the humanism, that this is against the humanism approach. So from that Dr. Faustus, they want to tell you that we have some sins and we have to work on them. Like in the Macbeth, in the Othello, he is also talking about the sins in the under the name of Hamartia or under the name of tragic flow. So they are all talking about the human flaws, they are talking about the humanism is important, manavta is important, and when you work on your tragic flow, then you will automatically become a great personality. Okay, so this is about the Elizabethan age. Now I think you are enjoying this series. Okay, if you are enjoying, then don't forget to share and subscribe. Now we have Jacobean age. Now what is in Jacobean? The first thing is, let me break this term Jacobean age. So it comes from the King James. The Latin term we have Jacobus. So that's why it is called Jacobean age, 1603 to 1625. Now, the James I, this is the time of James I of Scotland. First, he was the king of Scotland. Then he became the king of England. So you can now find the mixing of Scottish culture and English culture. Now, what happened? When the culture came, and you will find the mixing, then turmoil. So this age, again, you will find the political turmoil, which was in peace, which were in peace in golden period. Now this is again the political turmoil age. There is a lot of bloodshed. English war period is also there. So this is unsettled age. Now there is a huge thing, gunpowder plot. Now, what is gunpowder plot? It happened against the king. There is a group of people. They are now plotting and intriguing against government, against the king, that we have to kill that person because he is of Scotland. He is not of England. So, but it was failed. So, gunpowder plot was the biggest failure. Happened in 1605. Okay. So, this is your PYQ as well. Then, so in as you can see in the slide, that it is a union of English and Scotland. Obvious here I had told you. Part plot here, religious and political tensions obviously happened because Queen Elizabeth has no here. Now who will become the king? So King James, his relative, he came from the Scotland. And he was called out. He was called from Scotland. Hey, you have to be the king. So just came here. So when the King James came here, there lot of bloodshed, lot of national, you can say, जो national consciousness था, patriotic feeling थे, it was declined one. Anxiety was there. Now he is the king of different nation. What happened to our society? So these type of questions were raising. Okay, that's why gunpowder plot was emerged. Now the language. What happened to language? Now mixing of language you can see. So okay, but it became the mature stage of early modern English language. Now English is dominant language. Okay, there is no another language. Now people are not meant for imitation, they are meant for innovation. They are not working on just translating the thing. Now they are more creative as the age is moving on. Okay? Now this age is darker and more pessimistic than the previous one. It is more pessimistic than Barren age. So you can find the work like Spanish tragedy by Thomas Kidd. Okay, so it tells about you the very aspect of the society happened at that time. Then we have Duchess of Malfi. Again, this is upper class, lower class. As we can see, the Duchess of Malfi, Cardinal Ferdinand, they murdered Duchess. Why? Because she married to a stepward. Okay, and it is because it is against the society. It is against their fame and name. So they killed his own. So they killed their own sister. So this is what happened in that society. As so they have pen down everything. Okay, now we have John Donne. What happened? John Donne, he coined new poetry, metaphysical poetry. Why he coined metaphysical poetry? Because he saw a lot of bloodshed here and there. Now he wanted peace. He wanted to live with love. He wanted to live in intellectual and spiritual calmness. So he evolved metaphysical poetry. Metaphysical, that is intellectual, philosophical and spiritual growth. He used conceit here. So you will find a new term, conceit, that is extended metaphor. Okay, we have also made a video on John Donne, so go and watch that video as well. Okay, so writers are writing because of the society. They are society giving them the hit back, the check reality that you have to write because we are corrupt one, you have to write on us, okay? So if you want pace, then write with your imagination. So like we have Francis Bacon, he has given a scientific theory. He is the father of modern science fiction. He has given the New Atlantis. I have also made that video, okay? So in New Atlantis, he is giving, it was unfinished, but he is saying that uh, everything is made of religion. Why we do not work on both simultaneously? The society should be religion and scientific based so that the moral development as well as intellectual development happen simultaneously. He is the father of essay. He wrote of friendship, of studies, okay? So that was, again, it is based on the imagination. It is not the copy, it is not the imitation, it is completely based on the imagination. He creates that his own style, okay? So then we have John Webster, Duchess of Malfi, as you can see, Ben Jonson, who presented comedy of humor. So humor means we have sanguine, melancholy, choleric, phlegmatic. So he says that in human we have four types of things. Dominant, so human became like that, okay? So like now you can see here the writers, they are giving their own theory. Like Shakespeare, he's universal approach of human nature. Ben Jonson, he's giving humor, that how a person is evolving, how the nature of a person is evolving. Then Francis Bacon is giving the scientific approach, why it is necessary. Then we have John Webster, he is giving the lot of bloodshed, that why the relations are important. There is a why the conflict between upper lower class and in the house as well, men and women. Okay, then another also we have different writers as well. And William Shakespeare is now you will raise a question, ma'am, William Shakespeare, he is of Elizabethan age. Yes, he is of Elizabethan age, but the more important thing, the later जो उसके जो later drama है, like we have Macbeth and another as well, so they came under the Jacobean age, and you can find that in the Hokum. He wrote them under the Jacobean age, that is the transition period, and they are his the darkest tragedy. Load of bloodshed, load of family turmoil can be seen, and this is now you can relate that with the Jacobean age. Okay, so he is in the Master of Elizabethan, but he presented the Jacobean age through his Hokum tragedies. Okay, so this is about the Jacobean age. Now the next age we have the Caroline age. Okay, it was under the name of Charles I. Now Charles I, again Latin term hai, that is the Caroline age, and in this age we have the Cavalier poets, we have the Caroline poetry. Okay, now what is exactly happened in the Caroline age in 1625 to 1649? So first we have it is the reign of Charles I. Now this age is again a massive shifting age. This age is again you will find the political turmoil age. Now this age there is a transition. Now like in Elizabethan age we have sugar coated poetry. Now this age it is based on cynical approach. Now they presented the age as it is. They are more disciplined. They are more in structured way. Caroline age. Now there is a Puritan influence can be seen. What happened to Puritan influence? Now they are more religious. They are more controlled by church. Okay, so Charles I, he was a good patron of art, but he was, you can say, a poor political leader, and that's why, because he was a poor political leader. So what happened in the age of Elizabeth, in the Barren age, in the revival age, that they again they settled the king as the head of church. Now what happened in Caroline age? It reversed. Now the Pope is the head of church. The Puritan impact can be seen, and when the Puritan impact can be seen, then the Charles I, he was beheaded and when he was beheaded, the whole scenario of society was changed. Now political conflict between the king and the parliament, again I can say that because there is a war between Pope and the king. Then the growing religious tension, obvious way. Okay, then outbreak of English civil war. Then this is the last age, this is the final chapter happened before English civil war. After that there is a English civil war. This is now नरसंहार वाली age आ जाएगी हमारी. Now continued development of modern English, courtly culture influenced literature. Obviously there is a turmoil between king and parliament, so literature became so. And in the Caroline age you will find the later metaphysical poet who wrote for religion, who wrote for Puritans. Now you will find the Puritan impact on the writing as well. They are more wit and graceful lyrical poetry. Now why they use wit? To criticize the king and the parliament, nostalgic appeal to their undetermined faith. Okay, that's why they use wit one. And loyalty and horror, themes of love can be seen, like we have Twelfth here, and Andrew Marvell to his course mistress. Okay, then metaphysical poetry and cavalier poetry. So this is the final phase of metaphysical poetry and starting of cavalier poets. We have Robert Herring, Tom Suckling, cavalier poets were there. And what is the theme? Seize the day. Okay, that is carpe diem. यानी कि whatever is that is on today. Don't think about future, don't think about past, so just enjoy the present. That is the carpe diem thing. So you will get lyrical poetry, religious poetry and drama in the Caroline age. Now we have John Milton. John Milton, it is the starting phase of John Milton, but he was dominant in Puritan age. Robert Herrick, Lovelace, George Herbert. George Herbert is metaphysical, later metaphysical poet, and Herrick and Lovelace, they are cavalier poets. Then these are the works. So this is about the Caroline age. Now what happened next? Puritan age. That is the biggest, you can say, challenging age of history of English literature. Now what happened to Puritan age? Puritan age, now there is the end of monarchy. Now the king system was ended. What happened? It is the time of republic calling. Okay, republic calling. Now Puritan, they have strict rules. They are more disciplined. They are live in structured way. So that's first what they do. What they ended the entertainment. What entertainment? They banned theatre. Okay, they closed the theatre, and that was happened in 1642. Now there is a no more entertainment, there is a no more you can say music, dancing. Okay, so they said that this is the impure and immoral thing happened in society, that people are watching the dancing thing, people are watching the entertainment, drama, bloodshed. So they said no, what you have to do, be religious, read Bible, and just talk about the Bible. Okay, and what Bible? Which we are giving you, which we are providing you. So that's why they are ending the monarchy system. Now England was governed by the Commonwealth under Oliver Cromwell. Now Oliver Cromwell came. Oliver Cromwell, he is known as the Lord Protector. क्या कहते हैं इनको? Lord Protector. Okay, and why he is called the Lord Protector? Because he protected the society. He has given the society a different name, that you are now Commonwealth. Now you can do whatever you want. So execution. Now there is execution of Charles I. Charles I को execute कर दिया गया. Okay, now Charles I was executed, so it lead to biggest turmoil, biggest chaos. Now people are not able to raise questions. They are now terror in their heart that if we raise questions, then they can execute us as well. Okay, now result of English Civil War. As I told you that the last stage we have Caroline age. English war was not started yet, but it was to start. Now English Civil War is happening simultaneously. So monarchy was abolished, Puritans government was established, and English Civil War was there. So Puritans, now religious beliefs were there, new religious beliefs were there, now religious principles were there. Okay, so strict Puritans morality, theatres were closed, entertainment was restricted. Now they continue use of early English language. Okay, now what happened to literature? Now literature is meant for religious belief. That's why this age is called the age of Milton. Why the age of Milton? Because as we can see that Milton, he wrote Paradise Lost, and in Paradise Lost he is telling about the fall of Satan, rise of God. That is religious perspective, that is on the Bible perspective, it is the allusion. Okay, so here decline of drama due to theatre ban. Now there is a no more drama. There you can say the epic poetry, emergence of poetry, emergence of prose were there, prose of religious prose, political and philosophical, religious poetry and philosophic and pamphlets, they were there. Okay? Now religious poetry, political prose, as I told, and pamphlets were there. Now John Milton, Thomas Hobbes, who wrote Leviathan. Leviathan is a character which was alluded from Bible. Again Andrew Marvell, who wrote the as you know the Twist Coemission. They are transition phase. He wrote Aeropagitica, that is the licensing act. Press was banned at that time, so he wrote in Aeropagitica. You will find social consciousness, conscience, soul in the works of all writers during the Puritan age. So this is about the Puritan age. You have only just keep this thing in your mind. Happened in 1649 to 1660. Now the biggest transition time of after age of Milton, after Puritan age. What happened? That is also called interregnum age. Okay. Now neoclassic age come. So people are now people are bored because of bad theater was banned. There is a no drama. There is a no you can say daily soaps. Now there is a no more dramatic literature, no more novels. Novels were not there at that time. Poetry is meant for release, and now people, they were fed up. Now we cannot rely more on Bible. We want something new. So now a group of writers came. They called neoclassicists. What is neoclassic age? That is, now they are bringing back the German Roman phase. They are bringing back the classical learning, and it is further divided into three phases, because in that neoclassic age it is divided according to the need of society, according to the need of the writer. Like first we have age of Dryden. Dryden, he wrote on French influence, he wrote on classical modern. Like in Defense of Poetry, he says that which one is better, French one or modern one, ancient one or classic one. So this is by Dryden, they are raising questions. He is using satire and humor, like in Absalom and Achitophel. He is mocking at the king and his illegitimate son, okay, David. Then he wrote Macflecknoe on the poor writers, on the writers who are spoon-fed by king. Okay, then we have age of Pope. What is happened in the age of Pope? Pope is writing satirical poetry, right? The rape of Locke. He was mocking at the elite one. He was mocking that how the king and look at the people who are understanding themselves, like, yeah, we are superior. So he are mocking at that superiority. He was giving a staunch fit to that person. Then we have age of Johnson. He is the major satirist. He wrote on the people. He wrote on the lives of that this is called, like he is the father of criticism. He wrote metaphysical poetry. So he giving us the reality check that yes, we have to divide them according to their mindset, according to their creativity. Now the literary criticism is evolving in the age of Johnson. Rise of novel can be seen in the age of Johnson. So they all are neoclassic age, but they are dividing according to the need. Okay, so let me explain them. First we have age of Dryden. Now Dryden age, the time period we have 1616 to 1700. Now age of Dryden is called the restoration period. If someone is asking you about what is restoration period, then it is not 1616 to 1798. This is 1660 to 1700, and the time period of Dryden get off. Then the new age, then the new emerging age under neoclassic came. Okay, that was the age of Pope. Now what happened to the age of Dryden? Now restoration of monarchy under Charles II. Now restoration under restore of Charles II. ठीक है, अब जब Charles II he came, then what? Again the monarchy was settled down. It was cast off in the Puritan age, but now again the monarchy was settled down. Now there is a no more rule of Pope. There is a no more rule of church. Now there is a rule of king. King is the supreme one. So Puritan age was ended. All the religious belief, they were shattered off. Now theaters were reopened. That is the good and biggest thing happened in the age of Dryden. Now people, so you can say drama was rise. There is a rise of novel. Now novel was starting. Okay, poem was evolving now more, and with more happened, like satirical poem, witty poem, humorous poem. So there is a burlesque theme, more epic can be seen. Okay, now I was talking that this is the neoclassic age. So you will get the influence of French language. Influence of French language, French literature can be seen. Now they are taking material from the classic learning, and now they are creating something new from that. That after they are now giving the divisions between that, why the French literature is important and what is good in the French literature. So let us just pick it out and let us convert them into English language. Okay. So they are working on re-innovating the English language, the English literature. Okay. Now they were focused on wit, satire, reason, classical rules. So the neoclassic age, it is called the age of reason, the age of logic, the age of rationality, the age of sensibility, emotions. Now they are working not on the religion particularly, that we are religious, okay, we are principled, we are disciplined. No, they are working on emotions, they are working on wit, that why this is important one and why this is staunch one, and you need to have a check on yourself that you are not good for society. So they are raising questions against government, they are raising questions against the monarchy. Okay, now like we have satire, heroic drama, comedy of manner. Yes, now comedy of manner is evolving. Like Ben Jonson in Elizabethan age, he evolved comedy of humor, that why is humor is important. Now here William Congreve, he is giving the reality check on comedy of manner. What is comedy of manner? That how you are sitting, how you are behaving, how you are talking, how you are communicating, what is your tone. So everything, what is the manner, how is your mannerism behave, like the way of world, a fanable, there is a fanal, milament, mirabel, and the wishford. He is talking about the elite person, that they are, yes, they are elite one, they are upper society, but how, look at their manners. They are for aristocracy, they are for infidelity, they are for adultery. Okay, they have not, they do not have virtues, they are not opting some virtue in themselves. So this is comedy of manner. Okay, now we have John Dryden. He is giving them the staunch critique on wit them. He is giving like Mac Fleckno, Absalom Achitophel, okay, a defense of poesy. Then he has another Hind and the Panther. So he's talking about the conflict between Catholic and Protestant. Okay, so like we have John Bunyan, he wrote Pilgrim Progress. This is a bit on Christianity, on religious belief, that there is a member Christian. He says that religion's belief is not like you have to read Bible, then you will get soul purification, you will be in catharsis, you will get conscience and soul. He says that for you have some virtue. Okay? If you are virtuous, then your soul is pure. So through Pilgrim Progress, he wanted to explain this philosophy. This is the time of reason, realism, logic, that work on the logic, work on the reason, that why we are reading this, why we are behaving like it is said that do not cut your nails, okay, on Thursday. That what is the theory behind that? So he said that do not believe, do not fake the religion, believe on logicality behind that particular thing, that why don't we need to do this. So this is the time period of Dryden Age, that is the Restoration Age. Restore the beliefs, restore the logic. Okay, so now the another we have Age of Pope. Now what happened in this age? Pope, as you know, Pope is the mastermind. Pope, he used wit, he used satire. This is the Augustan age. Augustan, after the name of King Augustus. Okay, who is King Augustus? He was the king of Virgil. He was the king of Horace. Okay, so when, and that was the time period of golden time period. So King Augustine, now this age, they want to follow Virgil and Horace, and like the Aeneid, they have given a very brilliant literature. Now they are working, they now translating the Homer works, they are translating the Virgil's work. Why? Because they wanted to learn something good from their work. Okay, so now Age of Pope happened in 1700 to 1745. Again, they are working on the classical learning. So this is again the age of reason, this is the age of logic. Now this is the time of Queen Anne, that is the Hanoverian king. Now there is a dynasty of Hanoverian king. Now like we have Tudor dynasty in the Barren Age. Okay, so this is the time of Hanoverian king. Now this is the time of political stability. Now there is a stability so far as political is concerned, because this is the time of monarchy. Now there is a growth of journalism. As you can, as you are moving, first you can see there is a growth of drama. Now then there is growth of poetry. Now there is a growth of journalism. Now you will get the periodical essay. And who's the father? Addison and Staley, the Spectator. We have the Rambler. So this is the time of periodical essay. Okay. Now there is a coffee houses culture. What is coffee houses culture? Now people are living in the coffee houses club, and they are talking about the society. They are talking about the literature. So the comedy of manner can be seen here. Okay. Now in the comedy, in the coffee club, they are reading the periodical essays, the magazines, and they are they are getting the news on daily life. Okay. So this is the coffee house culture. They are consuming alcohol. They are now more undisciplined. So this is coffee house culture. Now there is a turmoil among the society, not political turmoil can be seen. So highly polished poetry can be seen because of wit, because of satire, because of mock epic. They emphasize on satire, balance, and classical ideas. Like we have the Rape of Log written by Age of Pope, by Alexander Pope. Then also he wrote with heroic couplet. So he actually, heroic couplet, it was the old genre, but it was perfected by Pope. Okay. Now as I told you that coffee house culture was there. So rise of middle class. You can see the rise of middle class. Now which middle class? Who can read, who can now raise question. The middle class, it is not the middle class which was sandwiched, now it is urban middle class, it is rich middle class. Coffee house club is emerging, it was emerged. So now people are more opt for learning, now they are demanding literature. If they are demanding literature, so what happened, now they are giving the reality check to the society, that now we can see what happened in the society, now they can raise questions, now they are not that poor laborers of Anglo-Saxons and Anglo Norman age. Now we have Victorian age, and 2 or 3 are more. Okay, now what happened in Victorian age? So she is Queen Victoria. Okay, Victorian age comes after the coronation of Queen Victoria in 1837 to 1901. Now, as we know, in Romantic age we have Industrial Revolution. Now, in this age, Industrial Revolution was prime. Materialism, urban growth, it was on its peak. So this is the time of Queen Victoria. This is the time of rapid change. This is the time of massive shift. Now, rapid change of society. Now, the middle class to middle class कैसी थी पहले, रीडर थी. Now middle class is materialistic. They want money. They want status, they want something good happen in their life. Okay, so rapid social change due to Industrial Revolution. Now this is a time of industries, this is a time of growth. This is like in the previous age we have seen there is a calm, peace, religious belief. Now this is a massive shift. This is the turmoil age, chaotic age. There is an expansion of British Empire. Now what happened? British Empire is expanded. Now more colonies of British Empire can be seen in this age. There is a rise of Middle English class. Now Middle English class is rising, as we can see in the Neoclassic age, but now they are rising for the urban growth. They are rising for the, like we have Hard Times by Charles Dickens. Okay, he is giving a reality check that what type of middle class is rising now, which is based on fact, which is based on materialism, utilitarian theory. Okay, now we have scientific theories as well, like we have The Origin of Species written by Charles Darwin, which shattered whole the world, that how we are evolving. Human emergence, they raised the question. They raised a question on crisis of faith, and now there is a fight between reason and science. There is a fight between faith and science. Okay, so now language is fully developed now. Okay, so as you can see, this literature is focused on realism, morality, social reform, industrial life, poverty, class conflict, and you can say now there is a naturalism all around. Now what happened to naturalism? Now naturalism is expanded version of realism. How? In realism, like Henry Fielding, he presented the life as it is, but in naturalism they said that human is not guilty whatever he is doing. Like in industry, like there is a crime rate is increasing in this Victorian age, so they said that human is not responsible completely. Social environment is responsible. Who is responsible? The human tragic flow, the genes are responsible, because there is a genetic disorder, because there is a heredity, because the society is like that, so that's why he is or she is doing crime. So this is the naturalism. Okay, now novel is emerging, poetry, essay, social criticism is emerging, same as the previous one. Now there is a more theory, like literary theory will come here. Okay, so it is dividing. Next one, not exactly here come, so but as you can say, after literary criticism, literary theory is coming. Okay, then realism, naturalism, as I told you, pre-Raphaelite movement happened in 1848 after DG Rossetti. It was artistic movement against industrial revolution, against industrial growth. Okay, then like we have Charles Dickens. And that's with Charles Dickens, I told you that in literature, now it is not the biggest, it is not the time of big drama, it is not the time of big novels, big dramas. Now everything is serialized in magazines, so that's why Charles Dickens works are serialized. Like he wrote with the name of The Booze, Hard Times were serialized, many works are serialized. So like we have Thomas Hardy novels, then Lord Tennyson, who was the poet laureate, he wrote In Memoriam, like he wrote Elegy. Okay, he wrote on education. Then we have Robert Browning, he wrote on dramatic monologue, My Last Duchess, Emily Bronte, Charlotte Bronte. Then this is a time of Bronte's sister. Now women are emerging. In Victorian age, you will found Victorian novelist, women novelists, like we have in romantics we have Jane Austen, we have essayists like William Hazlitt, Charles Lamb. Similarly in Victorian age we have Bronte's sister, George Eliot. Now they are writing under the pen name, so that society will not be biased against them. Okay, that's why they are adapting male name. So this is the Victorian age, reality of Victorian age. Okay. Then again we have the modern age. We have modern age. So modern age, this is time of 1901 to 1945. Now this is the time of war. They have seen two world wars, and this is the time of political turmoil, chaos, disillusionment, shatteredness, fragmented soul can you found in the modern age. This is a time of war poetry. This is time of confessional poetry. Okay, so everything was shattered. People are disillusioned. Now the whole thing happened. That is the romantic society. They are looking that romantic nature. They are looking the Victorian urban growth. All was shattered. कितना dream shattered. Okay, so impact of World War I and World War II can be seen. Now decline of British Empire, expansion of British Empire can be seen in Victorian age. Now Britain, because of World War, every country wants to be free, so British Empire was not expanded, it was declined. All wanted to be free. Like in 1947 we are freed. So later then there is a social and psychological crisis. Why psychological crisis? Because of World War. Then we have the theory of Sigmund Freud. Okay, social, what is id, what is id, ego. So psychological crisis in people can be seen, traumatic life can be seen. That's why we have the Wasteland, we have the Virginia Woolf, we have George Orwell 1984 dystopian society, because of that devastation. Now say the fully developed English language can be seen. Now just keep this in mind, why language developed हो चुकी है हमारी after the Neoclassic Age. They rejected Victorian ideals. Now they rejected the industrial growth. They said that we do not want now growth more. We want peace. We want alienation, isolation. We want it to live happily. Like we have Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness, in which he told about the colonialism, the darkest phase of colonial society. Okay. Then they focus on alienation, fragmentation. In the work you will find this theme. Like the biggest example is the Wasteland, a room of one stone. Now people are demanding for themselves. Okay. Like psychological depth, pessimistic approach से लिखते हैं, and the literature is experimental. They are writing with flashback technique. Non-linear structure can be seen in literature. ठीक है, like we have To the Lighthouse. This is the story of 27 years. ठीक है, how she used flashback technique. They are using with imagination, like we have dystopian novel by George Orwell, Animal Farm. They are talking about the biggest change happened in the society if we are not ready to change today. Okay, so you will find modernist poetry, war poetry, confessional poetry of Sylvia Plath, confessional poetry of Kamala Das. There's a novel, and in war poetry they are talking about the soldier's life. They are talking about the brutal case of soldiers, that war is not peace every time. War is more disillusioned. War is shattered. Okay, so they are talking about modernism. This is a new theme, stream of consciousness, because they are shattered. Psychoanalytical crises were there, so they are talking with themselves. There's like we have dramatic monologue in Victorian. Now there is interior monologue. Okay, so symbolism, image. Now ism is created. After the Victorian में थोड़ी ism आए थे, naturalism, realism. Now in modern age there are so many isms. There are so many theories are there. Surrealism, imagium. Like we have Ezra Pound, who said that make it new. Okay, so make it new is given in the by Ezra Pound in the modern age. कि आप हम सब कुछ we have to create everything new. So this is the imagism, symbolism, surrealism were there, magic realism were there. Okay, now like we have major writers this, and they are their important works. Okay, so last but not the least we have the postmodern age, that is the contemporary age. Now what happened in postmodern age? Now this is the age for everyone. Like we have romantics eye, now this is the everyone. Now everyone is everything. Okay, so they are talking about, now this is like in 1945, this is the time of World War II. So there is a decline of British Empire. Now decolonization was there. Decolonization was there. Okay, countries are freed from the British Empire. Now there is a freedom, independence. Now the different countries, literature is emerging. Like we have Caribbean, we have African, we have Afro-African, American, Indian, many literatures emerging, and they are telling their own story. They are telling their colonizing story. Okay, this is the time of Cold War politics. This is a time of LPG. That is, we have privatization, globalization, and liberty. Like we have liberty, fraternity, equality in Romantic Age. Now globalization can be seen in postmodern age. This is the time of AI, digital communication, internet. This is the modern postmodern age. This is the time of real growth. Okay, now what type of literature they are writing? They are writing fragmented literature, irony, where is metafiction, that is fiction of fiction. Now author is the fourth wall of writing. He is telling to the reader that okay, that you are reading the constructed literature, you are reading my writing. This is the metafiction. They are working with stream of consciousness. Now there is an intertextuality, that one text is related to another text. They are telling about this, that connect the dot keys. Skepticism, that they have some doubts. Now they don't believe on universal explanation, that is the skepticism. They have grand narratives. They can no grand narratives, we do not like that. Now they are working on minimal framework. They are minimal narratives, non-linear structure. They have their own free verse. Okay, like we have the mixing high and popular culture. They are not saying that this is for elite one, this is for aristocratic. Yes, now they are mixing the classical structure, they classic the classical norms. Now they are evolving their own culture, they are evolving their own literature. Okay, so novel, drama, postmodern poetry, experimental fiction. So every type of genre can be seen in the postmodern world. Like we have Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot. He is talking about nothingness because they are shattered one. Salman Rushdie, magical realism. Angela Carter, Harold Pinter, The Birthday Party, Kesho, The Remains of Day. You will find a different type of scenario in the postmodern world. So this is the postmodern world. Whatever you are wearing, this is a postmodernism. Now you cannot make matching ki, oh, white ke saath white hi jayega. Now this is white, you can match with it red, you can match with neon. So this is the postmodern world. Do whatever you want to do. Okay, so this is all about our age. So this is all about our today's lecture. We have done with all the ages of history of English literature. So we have read about the warriors, warrior culture, then we read the religious belief, then the nature, globalization. So this is all about our history of English literature, and I must say this video will help you a lot. If you are ignoring this section, then don't ignore, this video is enough for you. So hope you like this video. So like, share and subscribe our channel and stay connected for more updates. And yes, if you want the notes of this video, then I am working on it, so you can join us on Telegram as well. Bye bye, and prepare your paper well. So